Hello, my creative friends, and welcome to another episode of The Daily Prompt. In this episode, I want to talk about marketing. I want to talk about specifically how much I hate marketing. I hate not marketing so much, more sales. I hate sales. I hate trying to sell things. I hate trying to hawk something. When you make a movie and you go out and you try to sell that movie, generally the approach to sales is not sort of this direct, hey, buy this now kind of a thing, right? Typically, selling a movie involves marketing that movie. It involves PR, it involves press, more or less. Because, the talk shows or the magazines or the newspapers, all of that, all of those, I guess, entertainment sources are interested in promoting other entertainment sources, right? So when you make a movie, the actors can go out and talk about the movie. The director can go out and talk about the movie. You can make little pieces about the making of the movie. So the selling isn't like, hey, go buy this thing. You're going to get this value in exchange for this movie. You're buying an experience. The ticket price is already there. The download cost is there. And so it's all sort of built in. So the marketing of a movie, the selling of that product is, I would say, very different to selling most things. A widget, some car, something that you've invented, a screenplay development system. What I've found along the way is that I hate trying to sell things. The problem is that it's kind of necessary in almost everything we do. When you write a screenplay, when you have a great idea, you're going to try to convince someone of that idea. That kind of selling, trying to sell your screenplay, is probably a little bit more like selling a screenplay development system or selling a car or selling something that you built or invented than it is like selling the movie itself when the movie's done. So I've always been very resistant to getting out there and trying to sell myself, as many writers, I would say maybe most writers, probably are as well. Pop down in the comments below if that's true for you. Do you hate going out and selling yourself and trying to convince people to read your stuff or to buy your stuff, right? So for me, that has manifested in some, I guess, downside, right? Which I had a comment recently, and I don't remember the specific of the comment, but it basically said something to the effect of 35% of what I make on this channel is the same old thing, and it's complaining all the time. Which I don't know if that's true or not, but there's so much content here that who has time to go back and review it? So let's assume there's a kernel of truth to that. I would say that probably all stems from this hatred of marketing, this hatred of trying to sell my idea or my what I'm trying to build, trying to get buy-in from you, the viewer, right? I hate doing that. I just want to focus on building the thing, on doing the thing, on moving forward. When we get stuck in the mud on the way, obviously it's like, but I would say there's probably a parallel there for you as a writer, for the stories that you have, for the ideas that you have, for what it is you want to create and put out in the world. If you want to actually do this, and you want to actually, build a career out of this, there's going to be some selling involved. For me to get over that hump, the tactic that I've taken has been what I would call the organic approach, kind of like how you would market a movie. It's more organic. It's more you just talk about celebrity-ish stuff, right? It's the selling around the movie rather than trying to go, hey, go buy your ticket right now, which is kind of a similar, I would say, there's a sort of analogy there to this YouTube channel. I'm talking around what I'm building. I'm trying to help you understand what I'm building, as opposed to saying, hey, go sign up now, right? Like, go buy now. All that because, in part, I don't want the ickiness factor of the selling of like, hey, go buy, to invade. I've always had this sort of vague sense that if I become too salesy, then that taint, that guy's just like this huckstery guy, is going to envelop the movies that we end up making. I don't want those movies to have that taint to them, that icky coated layer. So I've been very reluctant to do that. The problem is you've got to pay the bills. You've got to make ends meet. You've got to, in order to build something, you have to continue to build things. So what I've been focusing on over the past couple of weeks is marketing, learning how to be a marketer, learning how to sell stuff. It's my weakness. So in my book, I talked about, there's this quote from the late great acting teacher Sanford Meisner, which I've said many times. You might have heard it before, but it bears repeating. That which hinders your task, he says, is your task. In other words, the thing that blocking you from getting what you're trying to do, well, that's the thing now you have to try to do. So if we're struggling or whatever, and it's true that I'm complaining about it all the time to stop that, just address that, fix that, let's move on. So my focus being on marketing, I'm sort of learning how to sort of take how to present and package what I've built and whatever, and present that. What I've realized along the way is I think the YouTube channel is not the place for that. I think the YouTube channel is the place for us to build our relationship, for me to just give you advice and help and suggestions, share with you my journey, talk about all that, not to continuously be like, join me, right? So I think maybe there's been a little bit of that throughout this. I apologize for that. I would say that's because I did not ever learn this stuff. I didn't really ever figure out how to do that. So I'm learning now how to do that. And so what I'm going to try to do now, and probably slow down a little bit on these episodes here, is focus on building up the marketing machine for what I've built to grow that, so that I can focus here purely on you and on helping you and getting that thing moving forward with you. Now, the reason that I bring this up and talking about it publicly here is because I think there's a really interesting parallel between that and you as a screenwriter, me as a filmmaker, people trying to pursue those goals. There is some aspect of having to sell your script along the way, but if you're really resistant to putting yourself out there, if you're really resistant to asking for the sale, as it were, which in the case of a screenwriter would be, can you read my screenplay? That pitch is something that is maybe very difficult or goes against a writer's innate nature, right? Like your nature is, I just want to create stuff. I just want to take the stuff from my head and make these pages with flowing stuff and have it sort of organically reach what it's trying to reach. But if you don't have some sort of strategic approach to getting there, if you don't think through the marketing side of it, the salesy side of it, you're forever going to be writing for your bookshelf. You're forever going to be writing stuff that nobody ends up seeing or that doesn't actually get to where it's trying to go. Now that's problematic in the same way that my inability to effectively sell and market is problematic to what I'm trying to build. So I'm focusing on trying to fix that problem. I would recommend, and that's kind of what today's Daily Prompt is for you to focus on that side of it today too. Because here's when I built Fast Screenplay, one of the things that I wanted to infuse into it is the producer's perspective through every step of the way. If you're writing a avant-garde art film that's completely devoid of structure and has a very tiny little audience somewhere and maybe nobody will want to watch it, but that's what you're passionate about. At the end of the day, if you understand that you're still going to need to connect with somebody who's going to help you make that thing, there's still that element of understanding what that person needs. It might be different to what I need, but understanding what that person needs so that you can infuse that into your creative process. Not necessarily changing what you're writing, but infusing it into your creative process to ensure that you'll actually connect with that person at the end, right? So thinking about marketing, thinking about sales, thinking about that connection, thinking about how you connect with your target at the end, ultimately. Learning about that, understanding that, I think is key to the development of the craft itself. So one of the things that I've discovered, for example, as I start to dig into how you present what you've created in a way that interests a potential buyer, as I start to look at the tactics and the approach, the philosophical approach to marketing and sales, I start to realize well, hang on a second. There's actually possibly a way to apply this directly to indie film. As I was studying some of this stuff, I started to think, I think I may have come up with a way to make indie film a more viable proposition. In other words, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are literally thousands of films, 4,000 to 5,000 films I heard recently, made and submitted to Sundance Film Festival every single year, right? 4,000 films submitted every year. That means there's 4,000 films being made out there. The vast majority of them will never see the light of day because the vast majority of them are not solid enough. So what we're now competing with is that glut of material. We need to make stuff that's that step above, which is why it's so important to be really effective at screenwriting and take action every day and develop those skills, blah, blah, blah. But that also means that there's this enormous number of people out there making films that they're not thinking through how to connect with their audience. And because they're missing potentially a way to recoup all the money they invested in making their films. I guess my point is this. I think, and I'm going to test it on this first film that we're working on at the moment, I think I've figured out a way to market a film so that you can actually make that film self-sustaining and reach a very, very wide audience. And I've learned that I think the idea that I've come up with is something that I've only come up with because I started studying the very thing that I didn't want to do. I started focusing on my weakness. I started focusing on the thing that I have historically just not been very good at. Because if I can get good at that, fused with all the other things that I actually am good at, then I think is where we become that unstoppable force. And so this is, I guess, my daily prompt to you today is I want you to think about maybe the sales and marketing aspect of it, of your screenwriting, how to get people to read your script. When you go to someone and say, hey, please read my script. Can you read my script? Can you give me some notes and feedback on my script? It's a lot like what I've been doing here when I've been like, can you join me in my system? It's like I'm asking you for you to do something for me. When ultimately, if we've done our job right, I've created something that is in your best interest, right? And I need to pitch that in a way that you'll see that it's in your best interest, more so than whatever I might get out of it. Similarly, as a writer, as a screenwriter, asking someone to read your script for notes and feedback, please do me a favor. But if you've done your job right, this script is going to give them a page-turner reader experience. This script is going to wow them. This script is going to fill them with emotion and joy and visceral experience. They're going to just submerge into this story that you've created. You're going to give them one hell of a ride. So when you're asking them for notes and feedback, you're pitching that. You're pitching that thing that they're going to get out of it, that you're giving to them, right? If you think of it that way, then selling them on the idea of reading your screenplay is kind of a marketing exercise, but that won't ever really work unless and until the screenplay actually can deliver on that. So it's essential to develop those skills to have the ability to actually legitimately offer that for sale. Does it make sense? So think through that aspect of it. Think through the idea of marketing or selling your script as a read to the reader. If you can think of it that way, you can then reverse it and think, what do I need my script to be that for them? And in that way, you're more likely to connect with the reader. You're more likely to get enthusiastic responses. And if your work actually does live up to the promise itself, you're more likely to get enthusiastic people who are willing to help share and spread the word about what it is that you've created. That's today's daily prompt. Thanks so much for watching. I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be like moving forward because I am going to focus on that aspect of it so that I can put all that marketing stuff over there. And then the YouTube channel and the videos that we make here I can just stop talking about all that kind of stuff and start being 100% positive and moving forward and giving you help and tips and feedback and suggestions. And eventually we can get into the behind the scenes stuff, which is what this channel is really going to be all about as we start making the films themselves. So for now, this may go down to once a week. I don't know. I'm not sure. But be sure to click that subscribe icon. Click the bell. Make sure you have that bell clicked so that you get notified when new episodes come out. I know a lot of people are subscribed to this channel that just, based on the numbers, are not getting that notification. So make sure to click that bell. And then make sure to sign up for our social media and all that because we're going to take a whole renewed effort into that in this way. So we'll keep these YouTube videos clean and pure. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.